Hey, good morning, everybody, and welcome to the morning briefing this lovely Sunday morning in Southern California. It is great to be with you all here on the Friedman Adventures YouTube channel. Hey, good morning, everybody. Boy, there is a lot to talk about. I mean, we've even had a skipjack taken. The significance of that, we'll talk about in a moment. Kelp patty fishing is a little bit more hit and miss right now. There is some violence in northern Baja that should stop you from going down there right now. We'll talk about that. And of course, we've got our Bass Pro Shops podcast coming up on September the 10th. Want to see you there. More Friedman Adventures charters to finish out this glorious year and so much more. It's great to be with you all. It's another lovely day. There's no question about it. It's nice and sunny and warm. The ocean here locally is flat calm. It looks pretty darn good, and hopefully it's going to stay that way because there's a lot of fish out there and they are begging us to catch them, but sometimes they play very hard to get. All right, let's start south of the border as I normally do and just talk about the political situation that is going on down there right now. There is a lot of violence and threats of violence from cartel kind of turf drug wars that are going on down there. This is a familiar story, but it has escalated to the point where you shouldn't be crossing the border right now. I don't know how long this is going to last. Seems like it's going to be a while, as hundreds of National Guard troops have been sent in to northern Baja. That includes cities like Tijuana, which is probably the epicenter, but also Tecate and Rosarito Beach and Ensenada. All those areas are crawling with federales and also other law enforcement people, as threats from the Jalisco New Generation cartel about taking people out if you're out in the streets down there for a time period that has passed. But, you know, I'm going to err on the side of safety here. They've made threats about that. There's been carjackings. There's been cars set ablaze. It's a really difficult situation down there right now. And it pains me because it's only going to hurt the mom and pop taco guys, and it's going to hurt tourism and everything else, but it's way too difficult. In fact, the State Department told their people to shelter in place until further notice. So very difficult situation crossing the border. Highly not advised right now. Let's wait for it all to settle down. Having said that, we can still bring you up to date on what's going on down there in that neck of the woods. And the Ponga guys that are still fishing down there are finding kelp patties that are loaded with Dorado. Seems like there's, well, it depends. It goes from patty to patty. But there's a lot more Dorado starting to bite and become more eager. And sometimes there's more Yellowtail. It depends upon where you are and where you shop. And it depends upon what kelp patty you hit. But Pongueros down there, really good kelp patty action. And I point that out because the San Diego fleet has been down there also. And also seeing some marlin, more yellowfin tuna. And as we mentioned up front, we'll move you into the San Diego-based boats. The Liberty had a skipjack the other day. So big deal, skipjack, right? Well, it is evidence of more tropical and subtropical species flooding up the Baja coast. We still see a steady stream of it. If we look down, 200, 300, 400, 500 miles, yachts that have been going back and forth in that neck of the woods have been reporting into us and telling us that there is still a lot of fish. So a lot of fish on the kelps, and there should be more to come. So why is it inconsistent? What's been going on? Is it the full moon? Is it some breezy conditions? It was sloppy the last couple of days, and it's kind of mellowed out now. It looks like we're going to have pretty good weather for the rest of the week. Is it too much feed in the water? There's so much anchovy all over the place. Is it all of the above? Is it boat pressure? Hard to say, but I think it's going to settle and rebite even better. And having said that, there are still some really great scores. Guys that are going out on the sport boats right now need to have that 30 to 40 pound fluorocarbon. We of course love Opsin, www.opsinusa.com. You make sure you put in FA, Friedman Adventures, at checkout. You'll get a handwritten note from Greg Brown as well as a free gift. So make sure you do that. That's been the best way to get it done. But there's ironfish, popper fish, and there's still the kelp patty zone and the bluefin tuna zone. So if you're on a multi-day trip, you're likely to encounter some bigger bluefin tuna. That's when you need those 2-speed reels with 100 to 130 pound on them. That will help you to get the job done. All right, so hitting the kelps, there's lots of nice yellows like this one on board the Malihini. Coming on board, of course, we'll be on the Malihini in a couple of days now. Can't wait. That'll be Friday. We're leaving at 6 in the morning, coming back at 6 at night. There's a link in today's show description if you would like to join us. And of course, I would love to see you there. No question about it. San Diego on one of those one-day type trips. 26 Yellowtail, 22 Dorado. Grande, 20 guys, 10 Dorado, 70 Yellowtail. The Constitution on an overnight had limits of Yellowtail, just shy of limits on the Dorado. The Apollo, fishing out of Seaforth Sport Fishing, limits of Dorado, 66 Yellowtail. A bluefin tuna to go along with that. And the Ranger 85 just back into the docks. Scott Buchert, of course, decks on the boat, and he told me it was kind of sloppy down there. The weather was sloppy, but the closer they got to San Diego yesterday afternoon, the nicer the weather got, and that's what we are expecting to see. Buchert said the kelps that they hit were loaded with yellowtail. 30 guys with limits of yellowtail on board the Ranger 85, but the Dorado bite for them was a little bit off. So once again, depends upon what kelp you find and what you're going to catch when you get on those. Now, LA Orange County based boats are also fishing these kelps, and in fact, the Freedom was out, and Tino Valentine said we had 12 novice anglers, and of course, when novice anglers walk on board the Freedom, our goal is not to say, okay, we're not going to catch anything today because we have novice anglers. You hear that all the time, and I think it's a big mistake. Tino has a different attitude. He said, we've got 12 novice anglers, and the crew, by the way, on the Freedom. Let's teach them. And that's what they did. And they had a great day. Almost 100 Dorado for these guys that saw these acrobatic, colorful fish come flying out of the water. And today, no doubt, we'll be providing excellent, delicious table fare for all of them. So I had a nice day on board the Freedom. San Mateo's down there out of Dana Wharf Sport Fishing, and they had a beautiful trip on the Dorado as more and more local Dorado start to bite. The Fury with 20 Dorado, 20 Yellowtail, 2 Yellowfin tuna, and the Thunderbird going into a nice sundown bite last night had 100 mixed fish, mostly Dorado, some Yellowtail in there, and talked about the grade of Dorado seemingly getting better. There's been a lot of that 5 to 10 pound Dorado, but they had fish up in the 25 pound range yesterday. So some more flatheads, looking really, really good on that. And anytime you can catch a fish like a Dorado here in the local waters of Southern California, normally you're traveling down into Baja or even further down, Costa Rica, Panama, areas like that. Anytime you can come up with fish like that, it's a great day. Once again, some really excellent fishing going on for some misses for others. We talked about some of the reasons why it might be a little inconsistent. Hopefully things will settle down weather-wise and it will continue to progress and head in the right direction. Don't forget, we still have a lot of charters, well, a few more charters this year. We'd love you to join us on the Amigo, the Malihini this Friday, and a couple of 2-day trips on board the Pride. You can find all that in the show description today. Just go into the YouTube Friedman Adventures morning briefing, the show that you're watching, in the show description, and you'll be able to sign up. All right, islands. Let's talk islands. Todos Santos off of Ensenada, where there is more yellowtail. It seems to have gotten a good influx. All that kelp patty fish, some of it moves into the island. Some pretty good fishing going on there. Some barracuda still around, good calico bass fishing. Moving you up to the Coronado Islands. I'll tell you, that yellow bite is good right now. Really, really good fishing at the Coronado Islands for yellowtail. And then you have the mix of other stuff with the barracuda, calico bass, rockfish, triggerfish, all kinds of fun stuff at the Coronado Islands. Just kind of going to group all these other islands up here together because they're not all that red hot, number one. And number two, most guys are offshore right now. So looking at Clemente, there's okay yellowtail fishing to be had, decent calico bass fishing, bottom fish, Catalina Island, still really iffy. It has been a tough year at Cat, but you can catch some bonita, occasional yellowtail, okay calico bass, mostly shorts it seems like. Most of the guys are getting tied up in these battles on bluefin tuna right now. Native Son went 1 for 3 on the bluefin yesterday. And then Up in the Channel Islands, we are seeing occasional hits on the white sea bass, but that definitely has diminished right now. More of a summertime kind of bite going on. Aloha Spirit with 15 guys, 43 calico bass, 2 yellowtail, 2 sheep's head. A lot of barracuda up there in that neck of the woods, and same thing going on there for the Mirage. The Island Spirit out of Ventura Sport Fishing, playing around with some barracuda, whitefish. Some days pretty good, some days not all that great. They fish the coast and offshore on the Island Spirit. Incidentally, Ventura Sport Fishing, 805-676-3474. And the coast, as we take a look at the coast, we see okay bass fishing, okay barracuda. The coast has been so strange this year. I mean, we're still catching rockfish here in Long Beach and up in the Santa Monica Bay on the coast in August. Seems weird when you have Dorado right offshore. You would think that you'd be catching all these warm water species inshore also, but it just has not been the case. It's been a really weird year. No question about that. Surf fishing, lots of corvina, yellowfin, croaker, grunion run again tonight. It's been really, really good here recently. Again, light line on the corvina, natural baits like sand crabs or ghost shrimp or sandworms work really, really well. Some good yellowfin croaker fishing down here right on Bolsa Chica area. That also has been quite good here recently. All right, everybody. So it's an interesting time, no question about it. Looks like our weather's going to lay down. We'll get back to some better fishing. We'll see what exactly is going on. Malihini on Friday. Can't wait to see you down there in San Diego. And, of course, we'll be watching it all for you very, very, very closely. For all of us here at Friedman Adventures, I think that's me right now. Have a great day, everybody, and I hope to see you really, really soon.